Welcome to True Echo, where every story reflects a deeper truth. Today's story isn't just about high school drama, it's about power, identity, and the cost of silence. What happens when a new black student steps into a world built on exclusion, and refuses to shrink? This isn't just one girl's fight. It's a reckoning. Stay with us, you don't want to miss what happens next. They called it the castle on the hill. Whitestone Prep wasn't a school, it was a bloodline. Generations of powerful families had passed through its marble halls, leaving behind names etched in gold plaques, portraits lining the corridors, and expectations steeped in privilege. The campus shimmered with a kind of cold beauty, too perfect, too polished, like it had been scrubbed clean of anything that didn't fit the mold. Zara Johnson didn't fit. And she didn't care. The morning she arrived, the air smelled like espresso and old money. Town cars lined the cobblestone drive. Girls in designer skirts clustered near the entrance, laughing in soft, syrupy tones. Boys with rolled-up sleeves and Rolex watches eyed Zara as she passed. Her hoodie was gray. Her sneakers white. Her jeans clean. No makeup, no flashy jewelry, no attempts to blend in. She didn't need to. At 17, Zara had lived in enough cities to recognize a game when she saw one. Whitestone wasn't about intelligence, it was about inheritance. But what no one here knew, what no one bothered to ask, was that Zara Johnson wasn't just a scholarship kid. She was the daughter of Damian Johnson, a black tech mogul whose net worth quietly rivaled half the alumni endowment. Her father told her not to list his name on her application. "I want you to get in because of your mind, not mine." She had. And now, she was here. Tryouts for the cheer team were in 2 days. Zara had trained all summer. Not because she needed the validation, but because she loved it. Tumbling was her meditation, choreography her therapy. But she knew the cheer squad at Whitestone wasn't just about pep rallies. It was politics with pom-poms. The co-captains, Brittany and Lila, had matching platinum blonde hair, identical social followings, and the kind of legacies that came with property deeds. The moment Zara stepped into the gym for tryouts, she felt it, eyes crawling up and down her like a scan. Dismissive. Threatened. Confused. She moved anyway. Hit every step. Landed every jump. Brittany's clap was delayed by 2 seconds. Lila didn't clap at all. When the list went up the next day, the name, Zara Johnson, sat 5th from the top. Not last. Not first. But there. And that was enough to start the war. Locker graffiti appeared overnight. Diversity pick. Public school princess. Someone shrunk her uniform in the laundry. Another dumped glitter into her locker. No one said anything out loud, but the message was clear. Zara smiled anyway. They wanted her to fold. She refused to give them the pleasure. The second week at Whitestone felt like walking through fog with knives hidden inside it. The air was thick with fake smiles and sugar-coated cruelty. And still, Zara kept showing up. Practice had become a performance of another kind, one where she was watched, judged, and quietly sabotaged. During pyramids, her bases were always accidentally shaky. During tumbles, she was nudged a millisecond late, always off sync. Once, she landed a double toe touch and Brittany turned to the rest of the squad with a smirk. "Okay, Simone Biles, we get it." It was always just enough to be deniable. What stung worse than the comments was the silence. None of the other girls spoke up. Not the brunette with braces who smiled at Zara during water breaks. Not the shy redhead who once complimented her nail polish. Not Coach Melissa, who claimed to love all her girls equally. Silence was safety for them. But for Zara, it was betrayal. By the 3rd week, the boys joined in. Not just passive glances or whispering behind her back, but open mockery. Connor Aldridge, the headmaster's nephew. Blake Harrison, heir to some Boston law dynasty. Joshua Reed, whose father sat on the board. Together, they were the school's holy trinity of arrogance. They'd wait outside practice, leaning against the wall with smug grins and lazy stares. "Hey Zara," Connor called once, eyes scanning her body like inventory. "You sure you belong with the cheerleaders?" Thought maybe the custodial staff was recruiting. She ignored him. "Come on, don't be shy," Blake added, voice low. "You look strong. Bet you could lift more than half the guys on the football team." Zara's stomach clenched, but her face didn't flinch. That night, her cheer shoes vanished. 2 days later, they reappeared, soaked in grape soda and stuffed into a toilet. She said nothing. Instead, she bought new ones and showed up early to practice, hair braided back, hoodie zipped up. She ran laps around the gym before the others arrived, a quiet storm in motion. But the attack escalated. During a Friday pep rally, Zara was finally given a center spot. It should have been her moment. The music blasted. The crowd roared. And as Zara stepped forward for her solo chant, a shout cracked through the air from the bleachers. "Go back to the hood, cheerleader." Laughter erupted. And with it, her teammates accidentally botched the routine. Brittany stumbled into Zara, flailed dramatically, and collapsed onto the mat. The crowd gasped. It looked like Zara had messed up. On purpose. The moment froze in Zara's chest like ice. Her body was locked, every muscle screaming to run, but she didn't. She finished the chant. She walked off the floor without looking back. Someone had filmed it all. And that night, it went viral. Not just the stumble. Not just the reaction. But the words, clear and unmistakable. "Go back to the hood." Over and over. On TikTok. On Twitter. On YouTube. Shared. Stitched. Commented. At first, it was just mockery. Whitestone fail. Diversity disaster. But something shifted. A black student from another prep school stitched the clip and said, "This is what it's like being the only one who looks like you." Then another. And another. The hashtag Justice for Zara began to spread. By Sunday, Zara's inbox was full of messages from strangers. Girls she'd never met. Boys she didn't know. Teachers. Parents. Even celebrities. And that was before the video reached her father. She didn't tell him. Her mother did. The call came late that night. Zara was curled on her bed, hoodie pulled over her head, headphones on. Her phone buzzed, "Dad." She didn't answer at first. Then she did. His voice was low. Measured. Cold in a way she recognized as dangerous. "I saw the video." Zara said nothing. "I read your journal too," he added. "Your mom let me." She stiffened. "I wanted to let you handle it. To let you be strong. But baby, strength doesn't mean silence." And then, he said the words that made her sit up straight. "I'm coming to the school. We're not going to fight fire with fire. We're going to burn down the system that let this happen." Zara's fingers trembled. For the first time since she arrived at Whitestone, she realized, she wasn't alone anymore. The air at Whitestone Monday morning felt electric. Not the charged kind of electricity that excited you before a game, but the kind that buzzes just before a storm breaks. Whispers filled the halls. Phones buzzed non-stop. Eyes darted toward Zara like she was both a grenade and a ghost. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The video had spoken for her. The hashtags had taken on a life of their own. Overnight, what had started as a cruel joke turned into a movement. Hashtag Justice for Zara was now trending nationally. Zara walked through the halls like a soldier on a battlefield. Shoulders back. Eyes straight. Her uniform neat. Her silence louder than any scream. Even teachers who'd once ignored her gave small, tight smiles. Coach Melissa waved awkwardly across the quad. But none of it meant anything. The damage had already been done. Then, during third period, the school secretary entered Zara's AP English class. "Zara Johnson. The headmaster would like to see you in the front office." A few students gasped. Others pulled out their phones under the table. Zara stood slowly, packed her bag, and walked down the corridor, every step echoing like a drumbeat. When she reached the lobby, she saw them. Her father, Damian Johnson. Dressed in a charcoal suit, calm, collected, the picture of power and restraint. Beside him stood Marcus, his lead investigator, carrying a sleek folio. Behind them were two high-powered attorneys dressed like Wall Street executioners. The receptionist looked like she might faint. "I believe you were expecting us," Damian said smoothly to the headmaster, who had just emerged from his office, red-faced and sweating. "Mr. Johnson," Headmaster Ellison stammered, "I didn't know you were." "That's the problem," Damian said. "You didn't know. And yet everything was happening right under your nose." He turned to Zara, his expression softening for the briefest second. "You ready, Z?" Zara nodded. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her backpack. She didn't feel scared anymore. Inside the boardroom, the lights were dimmed and the blinds were drawn. A long mahogany table stretched before them, occupied by the entire Whitestone Board of Trustees. People who rarely attended anything less than a gala now sat quietly, jaws tight, eyes anxious. Damian didn't yell. He didn't need to. He laid out everything. The video. The screenshots. The social media abuse. The memes. The bleach bottle. The silence from teachers. The complicity of coaches. The history of racial exclusion documented in Zara's journal. He also laid out a donation history the board had conveniently forgotten, nearly $13 million across 7 years, money from the Johnson Family Trust. Money that rebuilt the science wing. Renovated the arts hall. Sponsored the robotics team. "You've taken our money," he said quietly, "while letting my daughter be dehumanized." He placed a single sheet of paper in front of Headmaster Ellison. "These are our demands. 3 student expulsions. A formal, public apology. A restructuring of the cheer program's leadership. And an independent racial equity audit." Ellison blinked. "Mr. Johnson, surely." "No," Damian said. "Not surely. Immediately. Or this goes to the press, to the Board of Education, and to every family with a prospective student of color considering this school." Silence. The board shifted. Some pale. Some defensive. Some ready to concede. "Your silence is your answer," Marcus added coolly. "You've protected bullies long enough. Now protect the truth." After the meeting, Zara sat in the antechamber with her mother. Her leg bounced nervously, but her mother placed a firm hand on it. "You did the hard part," she whispered. "Now let him finish it." The oak doors opened. Her father emerged. He looked at her, then gave a single, subtle nod. It was done. By that evening, Whitestone's campus was flooded with reporters. By sunrise, the world knew the truth. News vans lined the street outside Whitestone's iron gates. Reporters leaned against fences, microphones in hand, whispering live updates as security guards tried to maintain control. Zara watched it all unfold from her living room, the news anchor's voice rising just slightly as she read the breaking headline. Elite prep school rocked by racism scandal, teens viral video exposes culture of abuse. Below it, her face filled the screen. Mid-routine, ponytail caught in motion, expression fierce and composed. The clip had been viewed over 7 million times. But the version the news played included the audio, Connor's slur, the laughter, the fall, the silence afterward. This wasn't just a school story anymore. It was a national reckoning. Zara scrolled through the comments, thousands of them. Some supportive. Some furious. Others predictably toxic. But they no longer crushed her. Not anymore. Not when she saw the other messages. From black girls across the country. From teachers in predominantly white schools. From cheer coaches. From students at Whitestone, even a few who had once turned away. I'm sorry I didn't say anything. We see you now. Thank you for not breaking. The apology email from Headmaster Ellison arrived at 8:23 a.m. It was formal. Sterile. Cold. But it confirmed what her father had already told her: Connor Aldridge, Blake Harrison, and Joshua Reed were expelled, effective immediately. There would be a full internal investigation. A new oversight committee. An equity task force. The cheer team would be restructured. Coach Melissa had been placed on leave. The words still didn't feel like enough. But they were a beginning. When Zara arrived at school that day, everything was different. The same halls that once whispered behind her back now parted like waves. Students moved aside. Some stared. Some looked down. Some nodded cautiously. No one dared speak ill of her anymore, not now that their parents were watching. Not now that the world was watching. She walked into the gym and stopped just inside the doorway. Practice was already underway. The squad moved slower, less confident. Brittany was missing. So was Lila. A new girl, Janessa, a sophomore, was helping lead stretches. Janessa caught Zara's eye and smiled nervously. Hey. You want to warm us up? Zara didn't answer right away. She walked slowly across the gym floor, the sound of her sneakers echoing like a challenge. Then she turned. Raised her voice. Everyone up. 10 jumping jacks. Count loud. We start clean today. No one protested. Later, she sat with Coach Melissa's substitute, Coach Taryn, a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who'd once coached state champs out of Atlanta. I watched the video, Coach Taryn said. I cried. Then I read your journal pages. You shouldn't have had to fight alone. Zara said nothing, but a tight lump built in her throat. You're not alone anymore, Coach Taryn continued. You've got a squad now. And not just here, everywhere. That night, Zara returned home to an inbox full of interview requests. CNN. MSNBC. Even The Ellen Show. Her father filtered them all. You choose when and how to speak, he reminded her. She chose silence, for now. Because this wasn't about fame. It was about space. About reclaiming the oxygen she'd been denied. A few days later, Whitestone held a school-wide assembly. The auditorium was packed, heavy with anticipation. When Headmaster Ellison took the podium, his face looked drawn. He spoke stiffly, reading from a printed statement. To any student who has felt unsafe or unseen, we offer our sincere apology. We are committed to change. He didn't say Zara's name. He didn't need to. Everyone turned toward her row. Some clapped. Others didn't know what to do. Zara didn't move. She sat still, hands folded. Because she knew this wasn't the end. It was just the moment everything else had to begin. The weeks that followed were filled with a strange quiet, less like peace, more like the silence after an earthquake. Everything had shifted, but not everyone knew how to walk on the new ground. Zara, however, walked taller. Her name was no longer whispered with derision but spoken with weight. Girls on campus nodded respectfully. Teachers looked her in the eye. Even the security guard at the front gate offered her a "Morning, Miss Johnson," like she was faculty. But the greatest shift wasn't in others, it was in Zara herself. She no longer counted the minutes in locker rooms or ate lunch with her earbuds in. She walked with her head up, her curls free and full, no longer tied tight to seem neater. When she spoke in class, people listened. When she moved during practice, others followed. The squad was rebuilding, not just in numbers, but in spirit. Gone were the choreographed smirks and fake friendships. In their place came a team that laughed for real, that sweated through drills without side comments or sabotage. New girls joined, some Latina, some black, even a transfer student from another city who said she only applied because of Zara's story. "You made space for the rest of us," the girl told her. "So I figured I could walk through the door too." Zara hadn't cried in weeks. But that day, she almost did. One morning, she found herself standing outside the East Wing, the same wing her father had donated, the one that bore her mother's name. It had a new plaque now. Underneath the words, "Johnson Innovation Center," were 3 lines recently etched in gold. Dedicated to every student who dared to stay. To every voice once silenced. And to the daughters who never bowed. Zara touched the letters with reverence. She hadn't known he'd done it. Later that week, a reporter caught her outside school, gently pushing for a comment. "What do you want people to remember most about what happened here?" Zara paused. "That silence isn't strength," she said. "And that the most powerful thing you can do, is keep standing." That quote trended for days. But Zara didn't pay much attention to it anymore. She was too busy preparing for the regional cheerleading showcase. The team had qualified for the first time in 3 years. And this time, Zara wasn't just performing. She was leading. Coach Taryn handed her the captain's clipboard 2 days before the event. "You earned this," she said. "Every second of it." Zara blinked, caught off guard. "But, it's my first year on the team." Coach Taryn smiled. "Exactly. And you changed it more in 3 months than others did in 3 years." That night, she stayed in the gym alone, running drills under the fluorescent lights until sweat dripped down her spine. She wasn't practicing to prove anything to Whitestone anymore. She was doing it for herself. For the girl who showed up with no friends and refused to disappear. And for every girl who was still out there, waiting for permission to shine. The regional cheer showcase wasn't just an event, it was a spectacle. Banners hung from the gym rafters. Judges in matching blazers sat along one end of the court, clipboards in hand. Teams from across the state gathered, stretching and whispering in color-coded uniforms. Parents filled the bleachers, cameras ready. Whitestone hadn't competed here in years. And when their squad walked onto the mat, led by Zara Johnson, the buzz in the crowd was immediate. "That's her," someone whispered. "The girl from the video." Zara ignored it. Her eyes scanned her team, now 11 strong, all focused, unified. No backstabbing. No cold shoulders. Just synchronized breathing and steady nerves. She exhaled, rolled her shoulders back, and stepped into formation. The music started. And then they moved, like one body, one pulse. Zara's voice rang clear during chants. Her tumbles hit with precision. Her stunts rose higher than they ever had in practice. When she landed her final flip, the crowd erupted in applause, not polite claps, but real, thunderous cheering. It wasn't just admiration. It was vindication. Backstage, the team huddled in sweaty embraces, Coach Taryn beaming. "That," she said, wiping her eyes, "was what a team looks like." When the winners were announced, Whitestone took second place. But it felt like first. Not because of a trophy, but because of how far they'd come. From a fractured, toxic mess to something whole, something powerful. The girls screamed, hugged, cried. Zara stood still for a moment, soaking in the noise, the good kind. The joyful kind. She turned, locking eyes with her father in the stands. He wasn't clapping. He was nodding, just once. That was his way. Later that night, Zara lay awake in bed, still in her uniform, scrolling through new comments. Videos of the showcase had already gone viral. Not because of the choreography. But because of her. Her leadership. Her resilience. Her story. She stumbled across a clip from a small podcast, two black women discussing the Whitestone saga. She didn't burn the school down, one of them said. She rebuilt it. Brick by brick. With grace and grit. Zara smiled. Then shut off her phone. That weekend, a letter arrived from the school board. She'd been selected to deliver the student address at graduation. She stared at the envelope, stunned. Then laughed softly. It was surreal, how everything had changed. How the girl once treated like a mistake was now asked to speak for the entire class. And she would. Not for revenge. Not even for justice. But for truth. Graduation morning arrived with golden sunlight and a breeze that carried the scent of spring. Whitestone Prep's campus gleamed, flowers blooming beside its marble paths, parents arriving in luxury cars, and students draped in pristine navy gowns. Zara Johnson stood in front of her mirror in the locker room, her locker. The one that once held bleach and cruelty now held her cap and gown. She adjusted her stole, fingers brushing the fabric, then looked up at her reflection. She didn't look like a survivor anymore. She looked like a leader. The gym echoed with laughter and excited chatter. Her team, were snapping selfies, hugging, helping each other pin cords and straighten tassels. A few girls passed Zara, offering quiet nods, respectful smiles. Janessa hugged her tightly. "You did this," she whispered. Zara smiled softly. "We did." Moments later, she stood behind the curtain of the auditorium stage, clutching her speech. Her name had been announced. Applause erupted. She took a breath and stepped into the light. Cameras flashed. The principal sat near the front, blinking back tears. The board members were present. So was her father, arms crossed, smiling proudly beside her mother. Zara adjusted the microphone. "There were days," she began, her voice steady, "when I walked these halls feeling like a ghost. Days I was talked about, laughed at, excluded, not because I wasn't smart enough, or strong enough, but because I was too black, too different, too present in a place that wasn't ready to see me." The room went quiet. I was told without words that I didn't belong. That my presence was tolerated, not welcomed. And when I stood up, when I didn't shrink, they tried to make me pay for it. Somewhere in the back, someone sniffled. But I stayed. And I spoke. And when I couldn't speak, I wrote. When I couldn't be heard, I recorded. When I couldn't cry, I stood taller. Zara paused. Her voice never wavered. This school tried to pretend I didn't exist until the world outside its gates forced it to look. I didn't want to be a symbol. But maybe that's what it takes sometimes, for institutions to change. One voice that refuses to be silenced. She leaned forward. To every student who ever felt small here, you were never the problem. You are the proof that change is possible. That tradition is not an excuse for harm. That silence is not strength. The crowd erupted into a standing ovation. Zara didn't cry. She smiled, a full, real smile, and stepped back from the mic. After the ceremony, caps flew into the air. Families gathered for photos. Laughter rang out like church bells. Zara sat quietly on a bench under the old oak tree, her robe fluttering in the breeze. A little black girl, maybe 10, walked over timidly. She wore a headband with sparkles and a shirt that read, "Future Leader." "Hi," she said shyly. "You were amazing up there." Zara crouched to her level. "Thank you. My sister said you're like a superhero." Zara chuckled. "You know what's even cooler than a superhero?" The girl shook her head. "A girl who knows she belongs, anywhere." The girl grinned wide and ran off. Zara watched her go, heart full. Whitestone's white bricked walls still stood. But the school would never be the same again. Not after Zara Johnson. She had walked in as a stranger. She walked out as a force. The story of Zara Johnson isn't just about one girl in a cheer uniform, it's about power, voice, and the refusal to be erased. In a world that often demands silence, she chose truth. And in doing so, she lit a path for others to follow. Remember, you don't change the world by fitting in. You change it by standing up. If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe to True Echo for more powerful stories that shine light on injustice, resilience, and real human courage. Leave a comment and let us know, have you ever had to stand alone?